Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk to you about important fields to get to know and understand in ACT. It's important to understand certain information in ACT and the way ACT holds certain information. So I want to give you an example of that. In a couple previous tutorials, I've talked to you about the ID status field and the fact that I feel that is the most important field in ACT. But the second most important field for most small business people is the last email field. Now, when I look at this layout right here, it's called the basic contact layout, I don't see the last email field at a glance. Now, just because those fields are not visible to me at this moment does not mean they're not there. It does not mean they're not working. And if you're not familiar with the last email field, in a nutshell, what it will do is if I send an email to a contact, it will record the date that I sent that email. So again, let me restate that. If I send an email to a contact, it will record the date that I sent that email. And that can be really important because of the fact that when you're working with people, it's really vital to understand when's the last time you might have corresponded with them. So, on that note, I would like to make a suggestion. There are certain fields in ACT you really want to get knowledgeable about, and let me point some of those out to you. First of all, I mentioned the ID status in the last email field, but I'm going to go down to where it says contact access, right down here. And in this particular layout of ACT, there are fields here that you want to be aware of. Those fields include some of the following. The contact or record manager. So in other words, when you put a contact in ACT, because you're logged in as you, it's going to put your name in the record manager. Also, the created on. So if you create a new contact, ACT will record the date that that contact was created. Also, there's a field down below called the last edit field. So if I do anything to a contact, anything at all, even if I just put a period somewhere, that is going to be an edit. So knowing that you can find contacts when they were created and when they were edited, that can give you great feedback and information. I'm going to come up top and I'm going to click on this drop down and I'm going to choose a different layout. I'm going to choose this layout right here, the 1366 by 768. Again, this is a standard field that comes with ACT. Now, when I look at this field in this layout, it looks a little bit different. Over here on the right-hand side, we have the last email field. Last attempt, last reach, last meeting, and when letter was sent. If you did a form letter, like a mail merge, and if I did it today, it would put today's date in for the letter sent. If I had a meeting that was held and I cleared that meeting, it would put in that date. There's also another way you can record a meeting by going up and clicking on history, and I'll show you that in a different tutorial. But let me go down and illustrate how some of this stuff works. I'm going to go down to where it says activities. And you'll see I've scheduled an activity with myself. And again, if you want to master play or test any of this stuff, go to your contact in ACT by going look up my record. And you can go in and you can mess around with all this stuff. So I made a meeting with myself. I'm going to go down, and one of the ways I can clear this meeting is through the activities tab by clicking on this little checkbox. But what I want you to observe is the meeting date over here on the right-hand side. When I clear this meeting, marking it as being held, and click OK, look what happens. It puts today's date in the meeting date. So now at a glance, I have better information about this contact. I know this contact had a meeting on that date. That gives me information. Now, let's say I called this person or I had scheduled a call and cleared that call. You can do it either way. But in this case, because I don't have a call scheduled, I want to go up and record the call. So I'm going to go up and click on history. When this pops up, I'm going to have it be call. I'll teach you how to set this so all the calls are always deemed as being completed, even if you left a message. And I'll explain that more in detail in another tutorial. But at this point, I can put in regarding, I can put some notes. I'm not going to do that for now. But again, I'm going to come down and click on OK, and look what happens up here in the call reach field. It tells me when I called. So The reason these fields and understanding some of these fields are important is because ACT keeps data behind the scenes. In essence, actions you take record data. That data is important because now if you said to me, hey, I need to find a contact, there are different ways we can find it. If you said to me, hey, I need to find a contact or clients that we haven't had a meeting with in 6 months, I can find them based on the meeting date. If you said, I want to find all the contacts I haven't emailed or called, same theory, you can find them. So something to wrap your mind around is the fact that sometimes in ACT, things that are important are not necessarily things that are exact. Like, for example, if I want to go up and do a lookup of all the people who had a first name of John, I could do that. But you might want to start thinking backwards on some of this stuff. In other words, you could also do a lookup of all the contacts in your database whose first name is not John. You could do a lookup of all the people who don't have a meeting date. In other words, this field is blank. So you can find things that have happened and things that have not happened, things that are and things that are not. And once you start realizing that and recognizing the depth of the way you can look up information, all of a sudden things change. The way you look at your data, the story your data can tell you is different because now you can make sure you find things that haven't been done so you can take action on them. So when you start talking about these fields, it's important you understand there are system fields that will automatically record information when you do certain actions. And you can use that information to your advantage in the long run working with ACT. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tony Holowitz. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye now.